Welcome to Community Conflict. I am so happy you are joining me for this particular course. This is a course, that I have worked with in many different ways throughout my career. So I hope that you appreciate the freedom you will have in this course to choose the community or the communities that are of most interest to you. Truly, if you reflect on community conflict, it is at the heart of so many of our most troubling conflicts in the world today. So there is a great deal to explore and a great deal of potential and possibility for NCRP. Now today my priority is to review the syllabus with you, to cover highlights. And I imagine you all have already found it under the Content tab in Blackboard. You've printed it, you've read it more than once, you've written notes all over it to make it work for you. And hopefully, if you've had any questions at all, you've sent them to me by email. But if you haven't done what I've just described to date, please open it up right now on Blackboard so you can follow along with me, or grab the copy you printed and get started with me. And I will field questions about this syllabus throughout the course, our time together, because as I often say to students, this is essentially our contract for the course. This is how I evaluate you. This is how we have dialogue about what most interests you. It's very important that you use this as a working tool. Not only reviewing and studying it at the beginning of the course, but referring to it every time you are editing, proofreading a graded assignment before submission, because it will inevitably help you earn more credit. And also referring back to it on a weekly basis. You'll see at the end of the syllabus, I have a weekly calendar with your assigned reading and activities. Okay, first page, my contact information. Some of you do live close to campus, and you're always welcome to stop by to meet me during office hours, or we can arrange an appointment at your convenience. Email is my primary and preferred mode of communication. Most students will tell you that unless something goes wrong, like I don't receive your email, I respond within 24 to 48 hours. You're welcome to call my office phone and leave a voicemail. If you want to get me in person, please call during my office hours, because hopefully our system will translate your message into an email. That's the hope, but best thing to do is to email me or make contact during office hours. Okay. Now this course, I'm now looking at the course description on page 1. This course was designed to study systems dynamics on conflict management. And I'll read, in communities from neighborhoods to nations. Systems dynamics, if you've ever taken a systems course, is a bit like games theory. It could, it could turn your brain into a knot, a headache, very quickly. It's very complex and fascinating. I would say it has most relevance to technology, to computer systems. Just like games theorists have been attempting to create models that will predict what we all will do step by step over the next 20 years. That is what computer information systems people are attempting to do too. And I applaud their efforts. I just don't think, that what they're doing has had that much impact on real world communities and conflict to date. So what I've done, because this course has a mandate that we study systems dynamics, is I've taken some of the very basic systems research, particularly the research regarding group interactions and dynamics, highly relevant to communities. And I've asked you on a weekly basis to consider one of these systems variables in relation to whatever community you decide to work with. Now, as you read through the course description, you will see that this is a very broad, open-ended course, but like many of our courses, it asks you to do primarily two things: analyze conflicts and then plan interventions. So plan and propose NCRP in action. Hopefully at this point with this course, you've already done this more than once. It's becoming second nature to you. It's a wonderful way to really learn NCRP, make it your own. Prepare to graduate and go out into the field, practice. The course goals, objectives, and requirements are important to introduce you to the course, but also because I use the learning outcomes to evaluate and credit everything that I grade. Your weekly postings, your weekly activities, your graded written assignments, everything I use these learning outcomes. So please use these learning outcomes as you proofread and edit your weekly postings and your written graded work, because using these will help you earn more credit. Show me more of what I need to see. Okay, requirements, it goes on. I'll go to page 2. You've got to do the reading. At a graduate level, I hope that's not a surprise. And when you come to the class, to your groups in this class, to discuss your reading and do your weekly activities, you need to show that you've done that reading. That's not that difficult to do. Hopefully you're in the habit of doing it right now. I'm going to be asking you to do field work in this course. And in a minute, I'll show you all the possibilities. They start on page 2, go on to page 3. You get to pick the community that you want to work with in this course. It can be a church community, a military community, a work community, your neighborhood community, ethnic community, whatever you want to work with in this course. Many possibilities. You will need to work with that community on a weekly basis throughout the course and submit a weekly evaluation report, which is 1 to 2 pages, that describes what you did that week with your community and your reflective practice, what worked, what didn't work, what you're going to try to do differently, demonstrating course knowledge. You will also have a final paper, and this will be a critical analysis of the work you've done with this community, and generously referencing literature. I'm giving you assigned reading, but also asking you to do outside research and come up with at least 3 outside, preferably peer-reviewed sources for this analysis. And then you are proposing NCRP based on this critique. So it's a very straightforward paper. It's a model that I use in several advanced courses. I'm asking for no less than 5, no more than 10 pages. And some of you occasionally will say, oh, I want more than that. But proofreading and correcting your writing, your grammar, your punctuation, your spelling, that's essential as you are approaching the end of your 2-year study, your culminating project. So 5 to 10, I think that's doable, manageable for a course like this. It forces you to edit your work and give me your best work. Now, when I write a paper, I'll tell you I write 20, 30 pages before I edit and pull out my best work. So please don't start with this page limit when you write. You can write as much as you want, but then you must go through and edit. Okay. The required texts are interesting. This is one of a few courses where I give you a choice on a required text based on your interests. But all of you will be using Franklin Duke's text, Resolving Public Conflict, because this man is really a pioneer and a visionary in our field. He has been running the Center for Environmental Conflict Resolution at the University of Virginia the whole time I have been around him. I'm not sure if that's where he is today. But more importantly than his work there, he was part of the first and only Truth and Reconciliation Commission in the United States, which I believed occurred in one of the Carolinas. And as far as community conflict goes, this is a wonderful model, and he was behind it. I think you will appreciate his thoughts on the importance of NCRP and community conflict in a working, effective democracy. And then I'm asking you to choose a book from the following areas, and here are the possibilities. Now, if I have not come up with your area of interest, I'm open. Please talk to me. Maybe I'll add it in future courses. But my first is community dialogue and peace building, because community dialogue is essential to peace building. I worked with it in the Balkans during their war. I'll talk about that a bit more in a week or so. It's also, essential throughout this country. Police, community relations is an example. Many of the people who graduate from NCRP and are hired by human relations commissions or community relations at the federal level, working against hate crimes, working, in the face of riots, they are doing community dialogue, facilitating variety of community dialogue. So that's another area, and I've already mentioned police community relations. Now, Catholic theologians, very interestingly to me, have been promoting just policing as an alternative to war for many years. And so I've given you one of the classic texts written by one of these theologians who is a professor of peace studies at a Catholic university in the Midwest. And this is not only a Catholic text, it's a very interesting exploration of how if we addressed police corruption, police abuse of power, and we did that effectively around the world, we might be able to drastically decrease war. Okay, page 3. Community mediation is what most people envision when they hear community conflict, and I have worked with community mediation centers in different communities across the country, and you certainly are welcome to take this as your interest, what you want to do. Some of you are living in or working with communities that are in desperate need to move forward, to develop themselves. And so community development is one of the areas. And this is a beautiful text which focuses on building community assets for progress. Some of you are activists involved in nonviolent civil disobedience, involved in educating citizens. And so I've included community advocacy as an area. I don't have a specific text for the responsible gun lobby in this country, but if this is of an interest to you, we could probably come up with a way that you could be doing some library research as an alternative to a book. There are also international communities that are of interest to some of you. Some of you are part of diaspora communities. I know several of my students are part of African diasporas. So here is a book on African peace building. Some of you are Muslim, and I think you would find this text on Islamic peace and conflict resolution really fascinating. I have similar books I could recommend for Christian conflict resolution, peace building, Buddhist, for a variety of religions. So we can have that discussion if you'd like. And then last but not least, international leadership. This is one of my recent edited texts. I couldn't resist. Okay, I'm on page 4. As I said to you, I expect weekly field service learning. I want you to do 1 to 3 hours of community service work with your chosen community every week. Now, make this workable for you. If you're part of a church that has any kind of conflict, you can easily work with your church. If your employer would welcome you informally mediating or doing some community work, community education, advocacy, you know, you can be very creative here. But what I want to stress is make it work for you, so this is advancing your reasons for being in this course. You know, I know some of you, at least one of you wants to work with family and marital conflict. Well, there are communities of divorcing people, of parents of divorce who are attempting to parent their children, you know, as effectively as possible. You're certainly welcome to propose these communities as well. Okay, I'm going to page 5. These are some of the policies, grading, what points you get each week. Please write me with questions if you have them. The next page, you are going to see the course calendar. Every week, you are going to find your assigned reading and activities that you will be doing that week, teaching and learning activities. It's very important that you get in the habit of reviewing this every week. I have included everything in detail. I think it's pretty straightforward. I'm quickly looking at it right now, trying to anticipate questions. I think it's pretty straightforward. You're only going to have, I am not asking you to turn it in, your field reports. Those will be posted in your groups, and I will review them and give you credit each week the way I do participation. Your one turn it in is your final paper, and its due date is listed last page of the syllabus. Well, I hope you still share your excitement in taking this course. I have interviewed a series of NCRP alumni working with various community nonprofits, human relations commissions, churches, doing a wide range of community work, showing you one of the themes that if you take an internship or two during your NCRP education, if you choose well, you may get a job offer at the end of your internship. That has happened with several of our students. But also showing you what rich work NCRP and our alumni do. I think this will be a wonderful semester together. Have a good week.